Most web applications aren't static. They combine data from some data source with HTML templates in order to render dynamic content. That's going to be the topic of this video. We'll be creating a simple blog. It consists of a home page with a summary of all posts, a page for each post in full, and a contact page. On the right sidebar of every page is some ads. Let's review the base project that I'll be building upon. We have a public folder containing a style.css and an index.html for the blog. This isn't a tutorial on HTML or web design, so I'm not going to go through these in much detail. You can apply the same principles from this tutorial to any website. In a production application, your data would probably come from a database or an API, or perhaps from several sources. To keep things simple in this tutorial, we've stored our data in JSON files in a data directory. We have a file containing the post data as an array of post objects, and another file containing the ads. In our index.js, we're simply serving up the public directory with inert. We can browse to localhost 4000 and see the index.html in our browser. We're going to be using Vision, which is another Hapi plugin, designed for rendering views and returning those rendered views as a response to a request. It uses a template engine under the hood to take data along with the template and produce a rendered output. Vision can work with many template engines. We're going to be using Handlebars. The syntax is very easy to learn as it looks almost the same as HTML, as we'll see shortly. Let's go ahead and install Vision and Handlebars. We then need to register Vision. We'll configure Vision by calling server.views. The options we pass are relative to. This is the base path for our templates. We'll create a new directory called templates to hold the templates and set this as a relative to directory. Engines. This is where we configure the template engine we will use. For any templates with a .hbs extension, I'm going to use Handlebars. Also, I will set the isCached option to false. This means our templates will be rendered each time we load the page. This is handy for development, but you'll want it to be true in production. Let's create a new route for the home page. In the handler, we'll call h.view and pass home as the view to render. Then let's copy the contents of index.html to a new file in our templates directory called home.hbs. This is a valid Handlebars template now. We can load the home page in the browser again, and everything looks the same. The difference now is that Vision is serving the home page, not inert. Let's take advantage of the templating abilities of Vision. First, let's define a variable to hold our blog title. h.view takes a second argument, which is a context object. This is how you pass data into your view. In the view, we can now use the Handlebars template tag to output this data by name. Now, let's also load our post data from the post data file and pass that along to the home page. We can use the each helper from Handlebars to output a block of HTML for each post. This is our post summary. Let's do the same for our ads. First pass them into the context object, and then output the HTML within an each block. The ads are now dynamically rendered based on the data. Let's create another route for the contact page. The path is going to be /contact, and we'll render the contact view. For the contact view, we'll duplicate the home page view and replace some of the HTML. We're going to take a step back for a moment and refactor at this point. We have a lot of duplicated HTML in our home and contact pages, and that's not good. Most websites have a consistent layout across multiple pages with only a central content area differing between them. Vision lets us define a layout that can be reused in our views. Here's a visual illustration of how we'll split the home page into the home view and a layout. The area in light purple will be the layout, and the area in dark purple will be the main view. As we can see, the layout wraps the view. Let's copy the homepage HTML to a layout.hbs file. We'll remove the homepage specific HTML and replace it with a handlebars tag. This is where the page content will be placed. You may notice we used a triple curly brace tag rather than the double one. This tells Handlebars to output HTML that we explicitly trust, so it will not attempt to escape tags. We trust the HTML because it comes from views that we've written. When outputting any untrusted user input, you'll definitely want the added security given by the double brace expression. We can then remove this layout HTML from the home and contact page. We tell Vision that we're using a layout too. Everything is working nicely now. I'm also going to make use of the partials functionality. Partials are self-contained mini templates. Typically they're used for repeating or reused elements in your pages. I'm going to make a partial from the post summary element on the home page, as you can see in this diagram. I'll create a partials folder and copy the HTML into a partial called postsummary.hbs. I'll also configure Vision to look in this path for partials. To output the partial, I'll use the partial tag, which is a greater than sign followed by the partial name. We had to pass ads and title into the context for several routes. When you know that you'll need some data in all data view contexts, you can pass it to the context option in server.views. This will be then merged into all view contexts. We can then remove them from the context for our individual routes. Now we can make the final route for a single post. The path for this route will contain a parameter. That's essentially a variable that we can access in our route with the request.params. We'll use that variable then to find a post. If we can't find a post, we need to respond with an error. We'll install and require Boom, which is the hapi library for creating HTTP errors. We'll throw a boom.notfound error here. Then we'll render the post page, passing in the post. I'll create the post view and paste in the relevant HTML. Let's load post 1 in the browser. If we try to load a post that doesn't exist, we'll get the not found error. In an upcoming video, I'll show you how to create proper error pages for this scenario. The final thing left to do is fix the publish date on our posts. For this, I'll use a helper. Helpers are functions that you define to transform text. You can call the helper from within your template. I'll create a helpers directory and configure it with server.views. Inside the helpers directory, I'll define a format date helper. This is just a JavaScript file that exports a single function. The function takes as input the text as an argument and returns the resultant text to output into the template. In this case, we want to parse the text as a JavaScript date and return a string of the format date/month/year. We can then use this helper in our post summary partial and post page. If we hop to the browser again, we can see that the date is now properly formatted in the post list. Our simple blog is complete.